it's not your first time here at this regional Comic-Con. How's the reception of the public here when you're here?
Well, it's great. I must say that this time there has been more response than last time. Although last time was great. I mean, I love doing all these things because it's like, you know, I'm meeting lots of people and people who like my work, and that's great. It's great payment for what you've done, and also it's, you know, I like being able to meet and talk to people who like my work. It's, you know, I think it's a kind of like you're paying back. You know, they're paying you, and you're paying back, and I think that's great. That's good.
Do you notice any difference in the treatment or the reception of the story V for Vendetta from people who first watched the movie or people who first read the story? For an example, I'm 21 years old and I first watched the movie, but my father, who's 51, first read the graphic novels. Do you notice any difference?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, that generational difference makes a difference. But I think anybody who actually sees the movie or the book, you know, the thing is that the central part of both of them is the same thing. It's a sort of like it's a story about individualism, and it's about hanging on to your own personality, not joining tribes. You know, being true to yourself, and that's in the book the same as it is in the movie. I think people who see the movie see that basic message about retaining your integrity as an individual, and then, you know, as I know, people go and buy the book. You know, they see the movie and are attracted to the book. So whatever happens, whether they see the book first or the movie first, lots of them end up with the original. So it's a win-win situation in whatever direction. But I think the essential thing about the movie is that its core is the core of the book, and I'm glad it's reached so many people. And the great thing about movies is it really gets everywhere. I mean, the book itself was published everywhere. It was global, published everywhere. But you know, movies get everywhere, and so it's just reached more people. And I must say that when you talk about, you know, people who are born at a different time and people who have different reactions, the reaction is the same. Because, you know, V is about universal things. V actually talks about everything that's important to us, whether you're old or young. And it harks back. I mean, for the older generation, it can hark back to Germany in the 30s. For the newer generation, they don't know about that, but they can see how scary things can get. I mean, the more the way the world is now, there are lots of opportunistic leaders who capitalize on people's fears, as we know, and so it's that universality of the theme that reaches people whether they're older or younger, and I think that's great. I mean, I think that means it's got that perennial quality. It's like The Handmaid's Tale on TV. The Handmaid's Tale. It's a great TV show. I mean, for a lot of people have not read the book or don't understand what it's saying, but it reaches a lot more people on TV, and it warns against this sort of, you know, this radical in, you know, kind of the Christian right in America, who are kind of quite, they have one viewpoint which will not be changed, and they'll support an immoral president to get that viewpoint across. You know, this is supposed to be a Christian organization, and they really don't care about supporting a completely immoral president to get what they want. Now, you know, that's like scary, because, you know, anything can happen in a situation like that, where people with one viewpoint will do anything to get what they want.
We live in a quite particular and why not cynical times in worldwide politics. How important it is for you to talk about V for Vendetta in this situation?
Well, I go everywhere I can, everywhere I'm invited, and the interest in V for Vendetta is great. And anybody wants me to talk about it, I'm very happy to. And I think it is important. I think it's important for any artist who has sincerely produced something that they believe in to represent it as widely as they can. Now, some writers and artists can't. I mean, some writers can't travel, some artists can't travel. But if you can travel, and if you believe in what you've said, in whatever you've written, then I think that's you should go and do that. And so I'm very happy in sort of a situation like this to go and say what I think and what I believe. And if we all say what we believe and stay true to that spirit and not be pressured by anything, I think the future is good for everybody. But it's I think there are too many temptations to cave in to what is the common viewpoint or to what is convenient viewpoint. You can't do that. If you cave in to what's convenient for you and not what you really believe in, then that's where we end up, with dictators and stuff like that. I mean, punk lived for a short time and then it died. I think it died because it wasn't fully embraced, and eventually it became homogenized into everything else. But the culture of that was important. The culture of what that led to, and there was a kind of, I think, if you're interested in what happened in England and the UK at that time, most all the creatives in pop culture were left-wing or socialist inclined, because the ruling elite was very reactionary. It was like we wanted to write about things that were different, and we had a different viewpoint. So I think that's in one sense, it's the job of every artist to try and challenge the way things are. And Joseph Turner, in British art, he was castigated because he had a different viewpoint. Everybody's got a different viewpoint and wants to change things, and that's one of the reasons why you should actually coach your message, or make your message something that is acceptable. You have to put it in an envelope of acceptability, because reach people through what they like. This is basically what we did with V. I mean, we were telling a story that was an adventure story, a basic adventure story, but we had the opportunity to be able to have a message in that as well.
There's a meme on the internet who says we're in the middle of a situation in a point between Fahrenheit 451, 1984 by George Orwell, and The Handmaid's Tale, and V for Vendetta too.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's. I mean, the amazing thing is when you see a lot of these speculative fiction concepts, your initial impression is really to think, well, that it couldn't possibly happen. It's like, that's crazy. Okay, so maybe, but no, not really. But when you think about it, you think about all the extremes that have already happened, and the extremes that happen in other countries. I mean, we tend to think that that we would never be chopping people's hands off because they'd stolen anything, right? We think, no, we could never do that. But, they do it in other countries. I mean, if circumstances changed, maybe we would do that. It's like the death penalty. The death penalty also is like, if you had a referendum for the death penalty, I don't know what it's like in Brazil, but if
It will be approved.
there you go, it would be approved. It would say, yeah, let's hang on. Let's, it's like civilization exists on this very thin, like, thread, and we need honourable leaders and honourable representatives to be a guard against the savage instincts of man. If we go inside ourselves as a mass population, we can be quite cruel. But it's only our government, it's only the democracy, and that we accept that that we should have leaders who've got a civilized viewpoint,